Hey, Dina.
Hey. Hey, good morning. How are you doing? Or good
Good.
night.
Good night for me. Good morning for you.
So it's good to see you again.
Likewise.
We will be continuing our discussion from last episode about the differences between cultures and how they affect our businesses. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, first of all, it's great to see you. And in this episode, we called it Mind the Gap, because we are not going to specifically look for solutions, but we definitely want to speak more about the differences between cultures. Specifically, we'll be discussing United States and the Middle East and how they can really affect the businesses. I think, anyways, you're going to get some good information from here, because just knowing and understanding that the little tiny differences in the culture that really can make a big difference in the communication and getting investors and investing in companies. It's actually a very good and important time to invest in Israel, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a very challenging time on one hand, but for the investment part, if people looking for high risk tolerance, the best time to invest is when the line is on the bottom. So I think the best time, and I think it's sad to say, but when missiles are flying above Tel Aviv, that's the best time to invest in the companies. But on the other side, speaking of investment, if you take a position of venture capital person or risk management, like what's going to happen worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is your founder is going to be away, your company is going to be under attack, and there's going to be no certainty. And here we are, we have hundreds of people in Israel who still under war, and companies still make the deadlines. So it's definitely a great time. New administration coming in America, very pro-Israel. There's going to be a lot of new legislations, a lot of new grants, a lot of new opportunities. So we're definitely going into 2025 with a lot of optimistical for the investment landscaping group.
So that's very important, very good. And yes, there's never a dull moment, not in Israel and not in the United States. But we're here, and I think it's very important to. I guess it's a little weird. How do we act as normal while war is still going on? Um, so let's try to understand better, I guess, the differences in the culture, because there are a few things, few topics we wanted to discuss and really show how they can affect. I think we discussed before the taping about how even an email, can be different when you write to somebody in Israel or you write to somebody in the United States. Would you like to tell me your side before I'll tell you what happens in Israel?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and it's a big topic, the communication differences. It's email, it's WhatsApp, it's just the channels and the speed and the pace and the approach. Um, I remember I told you not a while ago that I was so used to, it's been 10 years in the state, everything is so official. You have cold call and then you have second call and then you schedule a short meeting and then you have a follow-up and then there's another follow-up and then there's a coffee and there's a lunch. So until you get to the real business, sometimes it could take 3, 4, 5 dates, so
Oh
call
my
it, until you
God.
get to the point. Um, and I was organizing a philanthropic event in Israel, and I wanted to invite the chief rabbi, the previous chief rabbi of Israel, and I was preparing like a fancy email, and I was going back and forth, and like, oh my God, that's a real big person. He's in his 90s. And after going back and forth, his personal assistant said, "Can you just send me a text on WhatsApp with everything you want?" And I was shocked. And again, I spent many years in Israel, and still, like sending or inviting a very international figure over WhatsApp in 10 p.m., it's so different than trying to schedule a lunch with anybody in the United States.
Oh my God. It's important to say that both of us were not born where we are right now. So I think both of us see, I guess, that those differences clearly. While I live in Israel, I was, like you, born in the Soviet Union. And which obviously no longer exists. But the point was that it was very, how would you say rishmi in English? Like very
Official. Very official.
official, right? Like there is a way to talk. You don't like, as a child you don't approach people or older than you or different in a regular way of speech. You had to speak in third person.
For
Just
sure.
to a person that you don't know, you would definitely respect your teachers. You would respect, and yeah, I remember the cultural shock, and I was 6, getting here and seeing everybody just like well, let's say, not as official and as
I still talk to my aunts as a third party, third person.
what?
I still call my aunts in a very official
Really?
way. Yeah, even
Um,
though
no, but if I start a conversation with somebody in Russian, it goes there automatically. And then this person tells me, "Why do you speak to me like that?"
correct.
It's no longer the Soviet Union, just, chill. But it's encoded in us. So what I wanted to say, but we're not speaking about the Soviet Union or Russia, we're speaking about Israel. And in Israel, this exact example is illustrates it really well. People in Israel are very direct, and the communication moves so fast all the time. And there's something called yara and tachles, and like which is words in Arabic and in Yiddish, but they basically mean, yeah, speak to the point. Stop hitting around the bush. My time is very important, and a lot of things here close up over lunch. Big business deals, and what you're describing, the email and the follow-up email and the follow-up email, it makes me feel like this thing in my chest when I stand in line in United States, and everybody in the United States really likes standing in lines. I love you guys, but like as an Israeli, if
Same
you
as
see a
Soviet
line,
Union.
what?
Same as Soviet Union.
I know, right? For the toilet paper. But when me as an Israeli, I see a line, I feel really bad feelings inside, and of course I stand in it because I'm a social being, and I'm not going to cut in front like some other people. But it makes me feel stressed because I want to get to the point, and it's just something that is really culturally deep in here, and follow-up email and follow-up email, and people in here will lose their they'll lose their interest in you very, very fast if you cannot speak to the point, if you cannot tell them what you need from them. Sometimes with people, somebody you really want to talk to, and I had this, you have to address it really, really tachlis, really to the point. Hey, I want to make lunch. I want to talk about this new proposition that I have. I think I think I can be a great asset to your company. When can we meet and talk? This is a first email that I sent. And 20 minutes later, I got a result. I got back a reply from somebody very important that's saying, okay, how about 2 o'clock next week? Do you understand? This is the pace. So it's very important. And thank you for
No, that's
illustrating
too
this.
slow. We should meet you tomorrow.
Yeah, sometimes it's tomorrow, and then I'm like, oh, well, I can't tomorrow, because it's like, why? Because I don't know, I have my schedule planned a little bit.
Yeah,
But
there's a famous website in Israel which just remind me. It's called Dakat Ishim, the minute 90.
90th minute, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it's a very popular place where if you want to book a vacation, that's where you go, or at least that's the way it used to be in my times in Israel. When I moved to the United States,
One
and
second, something is.
I started to book.
Sorry, for some reason we didn't hear you, so just tell us the last sentence.
When the first year once we moved to the United States, I remember coming 6 or 7 months before the summertime, and I tried to find a camp for my kids. And anywhere I went, that was completely sold out. And I really realized the mega difference between Israel and United States. Worst case scenario, the rain will come a few days earlier. That's the worst case scenario that's going to happen. I mean, let's take 9/11 and other events for a side. But living in Israel, you cannot prepare yourself for what's going to happen 7 months from now, a year
No.
and a half from now. Here, people make their vacation. They make trips. They can schedule that we're going to have a family get together in July 2 years from now. It could be on their books. It could be on
No,
the calendar, right? There's no way that any Israeli, no matter where you live, is going to book something and is going to pay for it a year in advance.
no, because we don't know where we're gonna be and what's gonna be. We need to know. let me know, like, even if you schedule something with somebody, by the way, few months in advance, you're gonna have to remind them because they do have it in their schedule, hopefully, but still. And I'm talking to people who are very important and they're very serious and they have very important companies, but it's on you to understand that if you schedule something few months ahead, you're gonna definitely have to remind a person that you have a meeting with them.
Well, I agree, but the flip side of it, and you see a lot of Israelis and Middle Eastern are very successful in the United States because they don't have the patience. If something needs to be done, they're just getting it done. They don't take vacations on Sunday. I can speak for myself. They don't take vacations on Thanksgiving. They don't take a full, gap between. There's too many holes. And if you are an entrepreneur and time is money and time is valuable and you want to get the shit done, sorry for my French, you work extra time. You get up and you do what you got to do. But it also, the other flip side, it sometimes could scare people. If you're too pushy, if you are, even inside the United States, there's a gap. There's a huge difference between New Yorkers, and you can find them very easy by their accent, New Yorkers, and the West Coast, right? Where here I'm in the West Coast, I can do a strategical meeting with a CEO as we're walking around the desert and watching javelinas in 6 or 7 in the morning and wearing t-shirt. New York, the pace will be completely different.
I hear
The
you.
speed, the approach, that will be very different. So just know that there is a gap. Just know that there is a difference. Just know that there is a difference in cultures, for good and for bad. And that's, I think, the valuable point. Just for a minute, know that there is 2-way or 3-way to understand people and their approaches. And there's expert in this matter.
So there's just so much I want to say about this, but this is the beauty in a podcast because we will continue talking about this topic. When you started right now, the examples that you gave and the topics, I just had like 3 more examples in my head. And actually, one was a difference between Europe and Israel, which is actually important maybe to mention here in a minute. My husband works with companies. He works in high tech in Israel, which is a very big industry here, as many investors know. And he was working with a company in Germany. And there was something they didn't finish in the office. So over here, there's a time difference of a few hours, and somebody had to text him on WhatsApp, yeah, because they were beforehand talking, or even call. I don't remember, but the point was that the guy from Germany called, knowing that he's calling after hours. He called here. It was 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, and he apologized for like 5 minutes. That he's very sorry. It's just super urgent. He definitely understands it's not okay, and he's like, and I was listening to it. I was like, okay, got it. It's not like. It's important because my husband afterwards told me, listen, you need to know that there's no such thing that a manager would call their employee in Germany in the after hours. I don't know if that's correct or not, but that was specifically the case with that company, that he was so embarrassed. That was the word. He was embarrassed that he had to do that. So here's another difference, and there's going to be so many more, and this is how exciting and interesting it is, not only to discuss them, but also actually give some tips and ideas. How do we deal with those differences when it comes to business? So we have a lot to say about that. But you guys will have to listen and follow us and wait for the next episode.
It was nice
It was nice.
to talk to you. I wish you a good day, and I wish myself a good night.
Good night. Good night.